Hello friends, welcome again back to a new one. How you all doing, guys? Hope you're all good today. Hope you're generally fine, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to make this very beautiful and trendy Milkmaid dress with a queen Anne neckline. This is super beautiful. I'm going to take you through the cutting process and the sewing process as well, and I know you definitely want to see this one. So let's get to the drawing table. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be using. This is a crepe fabric, okay, and this crepe is on the lighter part of it. So this is not a thick crepe. So I ended up later on using lining. Not that I could have worked without lining actually, but I just wanted to give it more structure, on the lower parts because of the gathers effect. So that's why I had to, use what's lining. And this is exactly 3 years of this crepe fabric. So if you're using a thicker one, of course, there's no need for lining. Even with this one, it's optional. If you're going to wear an underwear inside there, of course, there's no need for the lining. Now for this sample lace, just 1 yard was enough for me for my sleeve and for the cup part of this dress. My zipper, and I have a cover button here which I made from these pieces of crepe fabric, and of course my other working tools, and we're good to go, guys. Yes, so let's get to the table so that we can start drafting. So this is the piece of paper that I'm going to use to draft this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark my vertical lines. I'm going to start with the yoke line. Now I started with the yoke line at 6.5 for the yoke line. Now the next vertical line was the chest line at 9. The next was my under bust. I worked with 15. The next was the waistline. I worked with 17. Then the hip line at 24. So I just went ahead to repeat the same point so that I can get a perfect straight line. The yoke line at 6.5, the chest line at 9, the under bust at 15, waistline at 17, and the hip line at 24. That's all I had here. So I went ahead to connect all these points to a straight line like you see me doing. So once I was done with that, the next thing I did was to go ahead and label it all. Like I said, the yoke line, the chest line, the under bust, the waistline, and the hip line. Okay, yes. So once we had our vertical lines ready, then we'll move over to fixing in what the shoulder width. So I started with the 3 by 8 inches mark. I marked my 8 inches. At that 8 inches, I came down by 1 inches for my slope. Then I marked 3 inches, which represented the neck width, and I went ahead to connect this point together to get my slope. You can see this now. So once I'm done here now, the next thing I'm going to input now is my shoulder width. My shoulder width I'm working with was 16 divided by 2, and that was 8. Okay, so I go ahead and mark that 8 inches all the way to the chest line. You can see this now. So after that, I'll rule a straight line there, and here we'll have it. Now from that slow point to the chest line, whatever you have there, split it into 2. At that point, when I divided by 2, I had about 8, and dividing by 2 was 4. At that point, went in by 0.5. Then I used my curve ruler to create, this is called my front armhole. So I went ahead to connect it like so. Then after that, from that same midpoint, I also made a curve for my back armhole. You can see this now. So that was it, guys, for here. You can see, done with that. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to impute my neck width and my neck depth. I already had a neck width of 3 and my neck depth of 3. Now this neck depth, this one is for the back piece. Yes, for the back piece, because the front is going to be the Queen Anne neckline. So that's what we have. Now on the chest line, I imputed my bust circumference, okay, which was 38 divided by 4, added 9.5. I marked that down, and I went ahead to add extra 3 inches for allowance there. I marked that down. You can see this. Now on my waistline was 36 divided by 4, and that is 9. I was supposed to add 3 inches, but I just had to add just 2 inches because I wanted to snatch the waist a bit. Okay, yeah, so I marked 2 inches for the seam allowance there. Then the hip line there, the hip line for me was 44 divided by 4, and that was 11. So marked my 11 inches down as well. And of course, I also went ahead to put in my extra 3 inches for the allowance. So that was it, guys. So connected all the points right now, just like you see me doing. So after that, now the next thing was to take it from that waistline, extend it all the way to the tip of that the hip line there to give me my Basque effect. You can see this now. So we're done. It's just simple like that. So going ahead to discard that part. So the next thing is to create the cup effect. Okay, so in doing that, I'll come to my under bust line. So what I'm going to do now is to move upwards by 0.5 inches. So I'm going to move up by 0.5 inches from my under bust line. I'll go ahead what and get that point, then I'll make a straight line. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So once I'm done with that, now you can see this marking my straight line. Then I'm going to what come to the yoke line. I'm going to move in by 0.5 inches. So that's going to represent the corset separation. So moving in by 0.5 inches on that yoke line, you can see. Then still on that unfold part, on that bust line now, I'll move in again by what 4 inches, which represents what the nipple to nipple distance. 8 is the nipple to nipple distance, then divide by 2, 4, adding 0.5 inches to 8, and that is 4.5. So I worked with 4.5 here. So yours might differ, okay? Yes, so marking that 4.5 inches from that upward part, you can see this now. All I need to do is to take my curve ruler now and make that connection there from that bust span all the way to my corset separation. You can see I'm making my curve, and that's it. That's the first curve there. Now on the same yoke line on the other side, the armhole part, I'm going to move in by what 1 inch, just 1 inches from that armhole point. You can see this now. So from that point now, I'll also what make a curve towards that what our bust point. Okay, the bust the nipple to nipple distance point we made there. You can see just making my curve like so, and that's it there. You can see this now. So once that is done now, the next thing I'll do is to take it from that point and extend it to the neck width. You can see this now. So it's that simple, guys. Like, there is nothing difficult here at all. It's quite straightforward, and honestly, if you don't understand it, please just go through it again. I am sure you will understand it. It's not difficult at all. Okay, and that is it, guys. You won't believe I tell you that we're done drafting with the front piece. Yes, guys. So just going ahead to cut all through. You can see cutting the backs, and I'm going to cut the side. Okay, guys, so this is that point where you hit the subscribe button. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, share, turn on your notification bell so that you always get notified every time I upload my content on this channel. Okay, like I used to say, please don't just watch and go. If you find this helpful, please now hit the subscribe button. I beg. Okay, just hit subscribe, share with your sewing communities. This will really go a long way to help this channel, and thank you so much, because I know I'll always appreciate that. All right, so we're done here now. So before cutting off the cup, I'm going to place this on my fabric to cut out for the back piece first. Now placing it on the back piece first, so this is what I have. Okay, so the only thing here different is that there's a zipper space. You can see this, a zipper space of about 2 inches. Then on the sides, I didn't put any allowance because when we were drafting, I've already put in my allowance there. Then on the shoulder there, I just fixed in 0.5 inches on that's where I have the allowance. Then on that basque line, there's a 1 inches allowance there. That's just it. Okay, that's it here. So we're done with the back piece, and I make sure that I cut this together with what the lining as well. Okay, yes. So once this is done now, so I'll take this off, set this aside, then I'll go ahead and cut out the cup for the front piece. All right, so now I'll go ahead. I'm cutting it from that corset separation point. You can see just how I'm going, just it, and that's it. Go through the armhole there to take off the neckline. You can see taking off the back armhole out there as well. And yes, guys, we're done. We can see this now. So this for the lowest part, then you take off the shoulder as well. Yes, you can see this now. So we have 3 pieces here: the lower part, the shoulder joining, and of course the cup. And that's just what we have. So now we're going to be working with the cup. Okay, we're going to set these two aside and concentrate on the cup for now. So we want to make a slash effect. So when I measured my width, what I had here was about 6 inches, so I needed to split it into 3, so which means I'm going to make an interval of 2 inches, right? Yes, so I went ahead to make the lines there, and I went ahead to label it as well. So doing this now, I have to slash it all through. Okay, yes, so slashing is all through now. Then what I'll do now is to bring another piece of my paper, and I'll go ahead and place it on it like so. So making sure that there's a startup line. You can see that straight line I have there, so I'm just going to align everything there. Now what I did now was to make sure that at each point of this my pieces, I made another interval of 2 inches. Okay, you can make yours lesser, you can make it 1, you can make it 1.5, but I just decided to make my 2 inches to give my cup, more volume. Okay, yes, so just you can see I'm placing it at 2 inches apart. So after placing the number 2, now I'll make another 2 inches difference there, mark that point, and I'll go ahead and place it, and making sure that these pieces are all aligning on that straight line. You can see. Okay, yes, so going ahead to pin mine down. So once I'm done pinning everything down, then I'll just go ahead and trace it all out. You can trace it all out, or you can just cut it all through, following the shape. You can see this. So we have it all aligned now, so I'll just go ahead and cut all through. So once I was done now, you can see we now have our new cup now. So taking off those pieces, so this is what we're going to be working with. So bringing out everything together, you can see this. So the next thing I'll do now is to go place it on my fabric again. So when I was done placing on my fabric, of course, this is what I have. You can see this now. So the allowances are just similar with what we have for the back piece. Now for this one, you can see that there's allowance on that back line, just like we had for the back piece, which was 1 inches. The side, there's no allowance there, because like I said, we've already imputed the allowance when we're drafting on our pattern, right? Now on that cup, you can see there's a 0.5 inches seam allowance as well. Then on the top part, there's also is 0.5 inches there, and that's just it. You can see this now. Now for the little pieces of for the the shoulder there, you can see there's an allowance on the top there. We are going to be joining it later. Can see this. So that part that is the armhole, of course there's no allowance. Then there's the 0.5 inches that will be used to join it to the lower part again. Okay, then there is a 0.5 inches on the top of the shoulder as well, and of course another one by the side we're going to use to turn it. That's just, so we actually have 0.5 inches on 3 sides except that armhole parts, and that's it for the two. Now for this cup, you can see there's just a 0.5 inches all around the cup, except for the top part there where we have 1.5 inches. Now that 1.5 inches is going to be what for the elastic casing we are going to be creating. Okay, yeah, so that's it. You see, we're just going to make a tiny fold and fold it again. So that's how we're going to get our elastic casing before we now put our elastic. And you can see that all these pieces of fabric, I cut them alongside the linings. Okay, yes, and for this cut part is the only one that has the sample lace and with the sleeve. Those are the only two that have the sample lace. Every other part are just for the crepe. Now the lining that I used I used the satin. I use the satin fabric for the lining, just for the upper part. Then of course the lower part I just use the regular lining. So you can see now this is the back piece as well. All the pieces are all ready. What I'm going to do now is just to go ahead and start turning it all with my lining. Now for this back piece, I'm just going to align everything right. Okay, then I'll go ahead now and turn it all with the lining. So we're going to turn the neckline and the sides and that zipper part as well, but the back is going to be left open, and also the armhole. Then of course for the cup now, I'm just going to align everything. There's a sample lace in this part, so I'm just going to fix in the whatever I'll use to line it underneath. Okay, you can see this now to cover it up, but to put it in place, I'll use my pin now to hold it down, just to put it in place. So once I have it like so, then I'll just go ahead and make that my elastic casing. So once I'm done with my elastic casing, this is the elastic I'm going to be using. This is a 0.5 inches elastic. I'll be passing it through. So to know the amount of elastic that we use, I just measure what I have from one cup end to the other. I had about 7 inches, and it is optional though. We might end up using the 7 inches. You might still end up reducing it, because by the time you're fixing your elastic and you feel that it is too stretchy, it is too flexible, then you can still go ahead and adjust it. So but this is just an idea for you to know the amount of elastic we're going to use. So you're just going to pass it through the casing after sewing it from one end to the other, and that will be it. Okay, yeah. Then for the shoulder, how you're going to join it, well, you're just going to join only that side. You can see it now. So I'm trying to separate the lining from the main pieces there. Once you separate it, so you take the piece, one for the main fabric and one for the line. Like I said, I use satin for my own lining here, and I went ahead to sew, just trying to demonstrate how the sewing is going. You can see I'm using my pin to hold it down all the way. So once that is done, this is what it's going to look like. You can see this now. So that's just what we're going to do for this shoulder part. Okay, yes, I'll go finish this up later on as well. Then for the lower part, okay, so how we're going to do this one, this is also quite straightforward. So just align everything, place it the lining over the main fabric, right side to right side, very important. Just make sure you place it over, then you go ahead and sew the sides. Okay, we are not turning the back side, we are not turning the part of the basque, just the sides, and also the top of the center, the top of that center there. That's the only part we're going to sew here, and that will be it. So we'll finish all this up later on. Okay, yeah, now there is a piece of fabric here. This is about 46 inches in length, yes, for this strap. Yeah, so this and the width is about 2.5 inches. I'm just going to make a sew and turn everything to the right side. So I'll be using this much later when I'm done with my dress for the neck design. So I'll go finish all this up later on. Then for the sleeve, I already have this folded into two, so I can cut out for the two sleeves. Okay, so I'm just going ahead to mark out my calf size. So this is my desired length. Okay, work with your desired length. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark a slant line. Then after that, I'll measure what I have from one end there. You can see I have about 12 inches. I divide it by 2, and that is what, 6 inches. So going ahead to mark that 6 inches point there. So from that point, I will now make my inverted S. You can see I'm moving inwards about 0.5 inches. Then I'll move out about 0.75, and that's just it. So I'm just going ahead to cut it all. You can see this now. So from that startup point, like I said, this is your desired length, and this is a full length sleeve. Then from there, you can get the bicep, which is at 7. Then the next was the 3/4 length, which is what, at 14. Biceps at 7, 3/4 length at 14. Then of course the full length of the sleeve. So on each line they mark the round sleeve circumference. So for the bicep there, the round sleeve there was about 14 inches. So just 14 divided by 2, and that's 7. So it's a stretching one, so I didn't put any allowance there. Can see this. Then on the bicep there, I had about 13 divided by 2. Then on that wrist there, I had about 10 divided by 2, and that's 5. Okay, so just went ahead to connect it. So like I said, it's a stretchy one, so there was no point putting in what, seam allowance there. Okay, so going ahead to cut it out. So this for the two sleeve, like I said, and that's it for the sleeve there. So setting this aside, so just go ahead and finish up the sewing. So when I was done, this is what we have. You can see I've gone ahead to turn it all with the lining. This for the back piece. You can see the sides and the neckline has been turned, and you can see for the front as well, and the shoulder pieces there has been turned as well, but I'll be attaching it much later when I'm done attaching the cup. And this is for the cup. You can see this now. Going ahead to fix my elastic. So like I said, the elastic is adjustable. If you feel that it's too loose, you can still go ahead and tighten it a bit. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and start sewing my elastic. So we're going to start sewing from that center point. The center point up there has been sewn already. So we start sewing all the way to the end of the other side. But you will not really get to the end. You stop about 0.5 inches because we're going to be joining in our sleeve. That's the shoulder part later on. Okay, yeah, so I'll go ahead and do that. So just carefully take my pin to pin it all through. So because of the volume of this cup, there's tendency that you're going to have some excesses. So let the excesses align on the lower part. What I mean by on the lower part, under the bust part. So that excesses, you're just going to pleat in some excesses on that under bust part. Okay, yeah, so just make sure you align it very well on the center, so that when you are sewing and you have the excesses, you just carefully pleat it in under the bust, the part there, and that will be it. So I'll go ahead and finish this up later on. So using my pin, you can already see how this is looking, right? So once this is done, then I can now join that the top part, which is this shoulder part there. So I'll go ahead and also sew it, just like I'm using my pin to demonstrate this now. You can see. So once I'm done sewing it like so, you can now see how the shoulder is. So we have our queen Anne neckline already there. So I'll go ahead and finish all this up. Then when I'm done, you can see this is what I have. The back piece already, I've also given this a good break. You can see the front piece. Gone ahead to also clean up the inside of those cup. Very important. You can see everything is in place now. It's looking all good. So the next thing, of course, now will be to fix the lowest part. Now, having in mind that the full length of this outfit was 47, took away half length of 17, which is the top part, then I'll be left with 30. So I added about 2 inches because of the hemming allowance on the lower part and joining to the half length, and that is 32. Now for the waist circumference, what I have here is 25. You can see 25 for the front, 25 for the back. I had to cut that out. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. And the length, like I said, is going to be 32 for the lower part. So I'll bring my piece of fabric. So this one now is what I'm going to use. So this is just a straight piece of fabric there, and I went ahead to confirm the length there. You can see that what I have here is 32. That's what I have in my length here, 32. Okay, now for the width, because we are going to be creating a gathers effect, so you need to multiply 25 times 2 or times 2.5 or even times 3, depending on the volume of what the gathers effect that you want. Okay, so you can see I have about 62 here. 62 inches is what I have here. So you can see by the time I multiply my 25 times 2.5, and that will give me approximately what I have here, so which is also a good number to work with. I hope you understand. Then for the back piece is the same thing. The only thing is that it was slitted into 2 because of the zipper space. So when I brought in for my front piece, all I need to do now is to make a gather stitch. You make a gather stitch and bring it all together to be able to fit into this box, or better still, you just go ahead and pleat everything direct, whichever one works for you. Okay, so I went ahead to pleat mine as I was sewing. So once you're done, and that will be it. That's simple. Then for the back piece as well, the same thing. It's splitted into 2, so you use one piece to sew for one part and the other part. But just make sure that when you're making this your gathers, you don't make the gathered all the way to the end. You still have to join the side, so you have to leave some space. Like this zipper space now, you can see you sew plainly on that part. You don't have to make your gathers all the way to that zipper space. I hope you understand what I mean. So I'll go ahead and finish all this up. So when I'm done, I will go ahead and also fix my zipper for the back piece. Okay, so I'll finish all this up, then I'll come back to show you the next step. And when I was done, guys, this is it, guys. You can see how beautiful this is looking already. Everything is in place. You can see, just like I told you in the beginning of this video, that I'm going to be using a lining. So here I used lining for this lower part. I remember I said it's optional though. Yeah, so if you're using a thicker fabric, there was actually no need for that, but I just needed to do that and just to give this one a little bit of volume as well. So you can see I used my lining for the lower part, and yeah, everything has been attached there, looking all good. The next thing now is to go ahead and join the side. So just bring everything together like so, and right side to right side. We'll go ahead and join the shoulders. Then I'm going to be fixing the sleeve. There's room for trimming off some excesses, especially on the armhole part. I'll be doing that much later. So once I attach my sleeve, I'll just join the sides. After joining the sides, then I'll go ahead now and also hem the lowest part. Okay, yes, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'll go ahead and finish all this off, and our dress will be ready. Yes, I'll go do this now. And when I was done, guys, this is the outfit was ready at this point, looking all beautiful. Oh my god, I love this outfit. So we are like ready right now. So the next thing I did was just to garnish it with my neck designs and the buttons. Remember this strap, right? The 46 inches in length strap. Yes, so this is the time I used it. I just brought it into 2 equal parts like so. Just make a bold effect. That's all I did. You can see, just brought these two together like so and made a bow effect, just a bow tie like so. So once I tied it together, and that was it. That's just all I did. You can see, just made a bold effect like this. Then you go ahead and use my needle and thread to attach it at the tip of that corset separation. You can see, so just be dangling there. Yes, then of course finally I now fixed in my cover buttons. Okay, just work with any number of your choice and any interval of your choice. Just place it 2 inches apart, 2.5 or 3 inches, depending on how many you want to align. Okay, so use the needle and thread to also do that as well. And guys, at this point, this outfit is ready. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Share with friends, share with your sewing communities. I'll really appreciate this. Okay, thank you, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.